Hey, it's Ray Steele. Hope you like this, and please hit the subscribe button. Appreciate it.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
And in living black and white, for those of us who don't have color sets.
The reason I've been waiting so long for this is I had started playing in the band in school, was playing with the high school pep band, and my very first band director, Tom Fortenberry, Godspeed, he passed away a few years back. He adored Herb Alpert music, and so our pep band, when there were timeouts in the basketball games, or if it was halftime, we weren't playing the school fight song, we were playing Spanish Flea, we were playing Green Peppers, we were playing A Taste of Honey. So I just wanted to thank you for being such a big part of my musical education and my musical life.
Well, you're welcome. You know, if you come to the concert, you'll hear some of those songs live. That's what we play. I do a Tijuana Brass medley that encompasses most of those songs you mentioned, and I have a good time doing that. We have a great band. We've been doing it for last 14 years. Aside from the 2 years that we were, on a hiatus, which was a very interesting time for me because I started thinking about all the trumpet teachers that I had through the years and kind of rebooting what they were telling me. And a lot of the things surfaced up, and actually it's easier for me to play now at my age than it was 20 years ago.
I've heard you say, and any musician says this, the key is you got to practice. And that goes for, regardless of your experience level.
Practice for sure, and I tell kids, look if you want to be a musician, while you're sleeping, someone else is practicing. So you got to get to it.
Well, that's the thing about you is you've never stopped making music ever since you started, and you could have stopped a long time ago because of the wealth of stuff that you and Herb Alpert, the Tijuana Brass, gave us in the 1960s through the 1970s. Of course, you had hits, and I've got to talk about Diamonds and working with Janet Jackson and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis eventually, but I mean, you could have rested on your laurels, so to speak, a long time ago if you had wanted to, and you just you didn't want to do that though.
Well, I'm really not doing it for the success of it all. I'm doing it; it's a need. I love to play. I love to record. Whether I was selling records or not, I'd still be doing it. It's something that gives me, an enormous amount of pleasure to wake up and think about arranging and how to do a song that's going through my head. How can I do it in a way that's maybe a little different? If it's a recognizable song, I try to put a little spin on it so it's like not the way people have heard it quite that way before.
You also mentioned your other art. You paint, you sculpt. You've been doing that for a long time too. You once heard you say that art is like jazz. In the way you, and especially I guess the way you create it, where you just kind of make it up as you go along, right?
Well, I think good art is very spontaneous. I think in the short definition, I think art is all about freedom. If you can get to that place and be original, try to do something that's naturally coming out of you. I try to impress that on musicians, to find your own voice, find your own way of doing it. And once I got rid of, thinking, am I as good as Miles Davis or any of these other great trumpet players, then it started opening up for me. It's just like, I'm just expressing myself the way I feel it has to be for me. And I've been grateful, I've been lucky, and I know that timing plays a great part in my success. I was at the right place at the right time, but I had the right things to say at that right time.
It's so interesting how things happen in our lives where one person, I know I heard the story where Sonny Bono, who was working for one of the record companies that you had worked with before you and Jerry Moss formed A&M Records, that Sonny Bono listened to some of your stuff and told you that you didn't belong in the music business. And then, of course, you go on to just a short time later do what you did through the 1960s. But it's just so interesting how things eventually work out because, I mean, you obviously had something you believed in, you had talent that you believed in, and it ended up working.
Well, and you have to remember, luck plays a big part in it. I was at the right place at the right time. Trumpets were in vogue. Right now trumpets are not what you usually hear on the radio, if there is little radio nowadays, but it's mainly guitars and the music that's coming, to a younger generation, which is fine. But like timing, I was at the right place with that right song, The Lonely Bull, that happened in 1962, which was the start of A&M Records. And when I got this letter from a lady in Germany, when this record was like top 10 in the country, she said, "Thank you for sending me on this vicarious trip to Tijuana through The Lonely Bull." And I thought, wow, isn't that interesting? I kind of chuckled when I first read it, and then I thought to myself, that music was so visual for her that it transported her. She was like 8,000 miles away from Tijuana. So I've been trying to make that type of music that takes you someplace, that has visual impact. So I'm a lucky guy. I don't deny that.
Well, don't sell the trumpet short on this generation just yet, because, it may not be necessarily all over popular music, whatever one calls popular music, but I've got a daughter who is a jazz studies major in college. She's a trombonist, but there are plenty of young trumpet players around her. We just had Drum Corps International, DCI, the Marching Music World Championships, Drum and Bugle Corps. Lots of great trumpets there. Marching band season's coming up here for Indiana high schools. So there are a lot of young trumpeters out there.
Oh, well, I might be a little quick with that statement, because let me tell you what happened. Somebody on TikTok took one of the songs that I did in the Whipped Cream album called Lady Fingers. They made a little vignette, and in the background they had that song playing. Well, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids, or whoever it was, picked that same theme up and started playing it. And this is something I found out last week, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. That song, Lady Fingers, has had 100 million streams.
Wow.
I don't even know what that means, but that is...
That means a lot of people have seen and heard the song. That's what... a whole lot of people.
But that's a song that I did 50 years ago.
Uh-huh. That's fantastic. Now, you also get to perform, by the way, talking to Herb Alpert, he and Lani Hall performing at the Palladium in Carmel, September 22nd. You've performed with your wife for quite some time now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I produced my wife. She was the lead singer with Brazil 66.
Yes, Sergio Mendes.
I auditioned them in 1966, and we signed Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66 to A&M. So, no, we're not new to her recording, because I've been with her, well, we've been married for 49 years now, so it's been a great run.
When I was 15, 16 years old, this album came out, and I didn't know about the album at first. All I heard was the song Diamonds, and I thought it was a Janet Jackson song, and because Janet Jackson sings on it. And lo and behold, I heard the DJ on the radio one day say something about Herb Alpert, and I was like, you got to be kidding. And then I went back and heard it again, heard the trumpet, and I was like, well, of course that's Herb Alpert. But that was such a great album, and I know that was my musical era, and I'm a Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis dork anyway, and love all of their stuff from that era. Janet Jackson had just had the Control album before that, I believe, and it was just a great record all the way around.
Well, it is, and really thanks to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They're really brilliant producers, and they had that studio in Minneapolis. I was there, and the first thing they said when I walked into the studio, he says, "You want to go have some chicken?" Fried chicken. But lovely guys, and they're very spontaneous, and that song, thanks to Janet Jackson, became number one. And I give all the credit to Jimmy Jam and Terry, because they have a feeling. They just have their finger on how to record and what people might like. And I was lucky enough to be in their slipstream there.
We are so grateful that you're going to be touring, that you're still touring after all these years, and that we will get to see you here in Indiana very soon. And have been grateful to spend some time with you today, and will continue to enjoy all of the music, whether it's the stuff from the 60s or, I mean, even the stuff from the last album. Last track of Catch the Wind, I believe your most recent album, is Smile, which is one of the best songs ever written, one of my favorites, and your cover of Smile, Charlie Chaplin's Smile, still brings tears every time I play it. And so it's going to be a pleasure to see you play whatever it is you and Lani decide to play on the stage at the Palladium here soon.
Yeah, I probably will play Smile. I love the song too, and there's a wonderful video that I did with Smile.
Yes.
If you want to see it, just herbalpert.com, Smile. And you'll be there. But we're looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to just doing concerts. You know, it was tough being just kind of in my studio practicing and painting and sculpting. That's a nice thing for me to do because I'm an introvert, so it's not that hard for me to be alone. But I love getting out there and playing concerts with this group that we have, this great band behind us, and I look forward to it. And thanks, Ray. It's been nice speaking with you, and you have a wonderful voice for radio. I can wish I...
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Alpert. Herb Alpert, Lani Hall at the Palladium in Carmel on September 22nd. Go see them.